Government Ayurveda Medical College, Mysore recently had the honor of hosting a landmark contained medical education program exclusively designed for the esteemed teachers of Samhita and Siddhanta. This impactful event, organized by our Department of Ayurveda Samhita and Siddhanta, was made possible through the generous sponsorship of the Ministry of AYUSH, Government of India, with the support of Rashtriya Ayurveda Vidyapeetha, New Delhi. We are delighted to share the complete recording of this week-long academic journey. Watch now to gain valuable insights from our distinguished speakers and relive the spirit of knowledge sharing and academic excellence.
Now, the session is led by Dr. Vinodkumar M V. Sir is Professor and Head of the Department of Basic Principles at VPSV Ayurveda College, Kotakal, with over 21 years of teaching experience. A BMS graduate from VPSV, he earned his MD in Maulika Siddhanta and PhD in Samhita and Siddhanta. An authority in basic principles of Ayurveda, philosophy, psychology, counseling and research methodology. He holds a KUHS certificate in Young Adults Counseling. He serves as chairperson of the NCISM Syllabus Development Committee and is chief editor of Apta Ayurveda Journal. He has authored 5 books, edited 10, published 50 plus articles and received 2 Best Paper Awards. A KUHS approved PhD guide. He has contributed to CBME implementation, FDP programs and innovative teaching models. He has coordinated mental health initiatives, developed counseling modules, and represented Ayurveda globally, including a lecture series on Ayurvedic psychology in Moscow, Russia.
Okay, you need to compare something. So the research need not be different, but the tools may be different. Okay, that's the only thing. Otherwise, we have a notion that Ayurveda research is entirely different from modern concept of research. My argument is, you can counter argue for that. You can even counter. My argument is, it is not entirely different, but the thing is our priority, preference, tools, content analysis, thematic analysis, everything happens. That occurs with the modern research articles also. So the additional thing is, it is very difficult to read this thing. You get a material, prepare a content, then thematic analysis, and finally you will be identifying what the unique features are there for that. It is same as almost how an article is reviewed. Okay, but the material will be different. Sometimes preference will be different, because in manuscriptology the preference is to identify the uniqueness of the manuscript. Okay, so to bring it to the practice, sometimes bring it to the practice, that will be preference. But in some other type of literature work, it will be something comparing different types of articles, doing a meta-analysis or doing a systematic analysis, something like that. That preference differs, but the methodology need not be different. Reading, compiling, analyzing, same, no? Okay, so my argument is, it is not different in fundamental thing, but superficially there are many things, because you cannot declare something diagnosed as rheumatoid vadarektam based on rheumatoid arthritis. You have to develop a tool to develop vadarektam if you want to research on vadarektam. Otherwise the research will be on rheumatoid arthritis. That goes to the preference. What do you prefer for that? Okay. So here you can see, next please. Charaga's outcome, Tisreshna model, first thing. Previous. Yes. That this will be already discussed, like what is the Tisreshana model of Tisreshaniya model of Charaga. There will be a hypothesis, there will be a question, there will be a problem. What is the problem there? Research problem is Santi, that do you remember that reference? Second reference is okay, no? Samseha kimnu khalu as punarbhavo na va iti is the question, whether punarbhava is there or not. Okay, that is a research question. So what is the hypothesis? Asti punarbhavaha. What is the null hypothesis? Na asti punarbhavaha. What is the data collection and analytical method? Through Chaturvidha Pariksha. So start from problem. Punarbhava is becoming a problem, because many people has disbelief in Punarbhava. So Charaka wanted to prove that Punarbhava is there. But the method is analytical method, taking some data through Pratyaksha, Anumana, Aptopadesha and Yukti. Next please. Another example is from Rishyante hi Aturaha, which is that chapter? Rishyante hi Aturaha Upagaranavantaha. Which chapter? 10th chapter. That is Kuddaga Chatushpadam chapter. No? Mahachatushpadam chapter. Mahachatushpadam chapter. So, Drishyante hi Atura Kejit Upagaranavantasya. So, there is a problem. Like even though people are treated well with all the things perfect, there is outcome will be either it can be death or it can be a cure. Okay, so that is a problem. Then what is the question raised there? Directly put a question like tatas chintayati bheshajam abheshajam na vishishtam iti. So there is the problem is whether treatment is different from no treatment. Because people taking treatment may die, is seen die. That is a problem there. It is direct in experience, they are seen death is there. If at all they are treatment, even though they are treated. Sometimes, even though they are not treated, disease is cured. So the problem is in this problem. Okay. Then comes the question like, is there any difference between chikitsa and achikitsa? Okay. Then what comes there? Does the intervention improve survival when compared to the no treatment? What will be the modality? What will be the analytical design there? So we have 4 options. One is with the chikitsa cure, with the chikitsa no cure, without chikitsa cure, without chikitsa no cure. So this is called a 2x2 contingency table while you doing chi-square test. Okay, chikitsyan pratiguruvan mriyate, pratiguruvan sadhyati, pratiguruvan mriyate. Treatment is outcome is positive, negative. Apratiguruvan sadhyati, apratiguruvan mriyate. Typically this belongs to the 2x2 contingency table. Next please. Next please. Yes, treated, cure, death, through which you can analyze many things like chi-square test can be done, odds ratio can be calculated, the probability, this thing outcome measure, outcome prediction can be done, regression can be done, regression and that correlation regression analysis can be done. All these things are having this particular structure. Apratiguruvan mriyade, apratiguruvan sadhyati, pratiguruvan mriyade, pratiguruvan sadhyati. This is the 4x4 table which is there in the research method. So Charagat directly puts that table. Even though it is in another language, the idea is the same. Okay. So you can take all these things, attributable risk, all the things are calculated by, I am not going into the statistical part. So it can be calculated. Okay. So you can just Google it, how it is calculated. Okay, next. Tarka analysis is, we have already explained that Vyapya Aropena, Vyapaka Aropaha, Tarkaha. Here what comes is, if there is no fire, there will be, so Vyapyam, Vyapakam is Hetu and Sadhyam. Vyapyam is Hetu and Vyapakam is Sadhyam. Okay. So that comparison, if there is no fire, there would not be smoke like that. Research question is, if X is absent, would Y will still occur? That is the question. There can be, if non-A, then not B. If A is absent, then B also will be absent. And Tarka as a model of research thinking, conceptual modeling, simulations and what if analysis. What if it happens? That type of an analysis it can be called Tarka because it is hypothetical. What if means it is not actually observed. You can have that Aropam. Aropam means assumption. So it is assumption based on another assumption. Okay, next please. So there is a concept called, I am not going into the details, Hill's causation criteria. There are multiple factors there. How can A cause B? Okay, there are multiple factors. Strength is there, consistency, specificity, temporality, biological gradient. You can go through the table and there is no time to explain everything. So you can just, Hill's hierarchy is how it is applied in Ayurveda. For example, you can see like biological gradient, the fifth one. That means more, where there is a more exposure, the effect outcome also will be more. Okay. So you can compare it with dosha pramanam, apachara visheshena. If apachara is maximum, dosha pramana will be maximum. Apachara is minimum, dosha pramana will be minimum. This type of things, many examples are there. Just I have given some examples only regarding the hills hierarchy. Just you can go through the table and have further analysis. Next. Then comes multifactorial causation, as we have already explained. Yukti is multifactorial, and systems approach is again multifactorial. Bahukarana yogajam. And you can see Bahukarana yogajam means there are different causative factors. All of them are causes, some of them are risk factors. Okay, for example, bija is the actual cause. Okay, you cannot make a vriksha, a sasya from water. You cannot make a sasya from karshanam. You cannot, jala karshana bija ritu samyogam is there. So you cannot make a plant with ritu only. You need, essentially you need bija. That is the cause. But all other factors, in a causative language, it is called, either it is called a risk factor. That means the factors which increase the probability of the cause becoming effect. That is a risk factor. Okay. So what is the cause of pregnancy? Shukra Savanita Samyoga, basically conception. Okay. So what is the risk factor of pregnancy? In simple language. No. In simple language, this factor of pregnancy will be marriage. Because then the chance of getting this cause will be more, simply, for common language, drishtandam. Okay. But marriage is not the cause for pregnancy, even though we explain like that. Marriage can be, people can be at two places, and that cannot create what is called a pregnancy. Marriage is a risk factor. Likewise, bija is the cause. So Yukti explains cause and risk factors. Here it is protective factor. In that example, risk factor is having a negative effect. In the case of pregnancy, it is, even though that technically it is risk factor, in our case it is risk factor itself, but actually it is not a risk factor, it is a protective factor, means which increases positively. For example, in the case of disease, it will be risk factor. Smoking causes cancer. Okay, genetics is there, heredity is there, so many things are there, risk factors. So that is negative, that is called actually risk factor. But when positive things are like bija, those things are, concept is the same, but the name is different, that is having a positive outcome. So that is called a protective factor. Okay, so Yukti speaks about causative factors and risk factors bar protective factors. So that is why it becomes multifactorial. Agreed. One thing. Second thing is, there is a concept of sufficient cause. Sufficient cause means when the original causative factors is associated with all the identified risk factors, that is called a sufficient cause. That means bija is there. Jala, Karshana and Ritu, all of them are favorable, that is called a sufficient cause. In Anumana, bija only is there. That is not a sufficient cause. Anumana is the process, but here probability increases. Even Jala, with Jala 25%, with Jala and Karshana 50%, with Jala and Karshana and Ritu 75% plus bija 25, it becomes 100. Okay, so this is the way of explaining sufficient cause. Here a disease results from set of component causes. Sufficient cause means one full set of necessary and ancillary. Necessary means bija, ancillary means supporting. So this set is called, so this is perfectly explained in what is called Yukti. You can see this elaborate thing in Prameha Nidanam. Can anybody suggest that thing? Vikara Vikhata Bhava Bhava Prativishesha Bhavanti. Very, very important thing. Vikara. Next, please. So here the same thing. Bija is the primary cause. And all others are ancillary cause or risk factors or protective factors. So you can see the table. Next. So Yukti is multifactorial, explains causality in a wider range. And it is, as I already mentioned, it is something, from the examples, it is evident that it is process oriented. It is not something outcome is there, but outcome is explained in terms of something is done there. Madhya Mandhaga Mandhana Samyogam means that is operative. It is not something like seeing smoke and inferring Agni. You do it. So that is why Yukti is more operational. That is why it is applied more in Ayurveda. In Darsana, Anumana will be enough because they are observing. Darsana is primarily for observing and observation and description. Loka is composed of Panchabhuta. That is the description from Darsana. But we need application. So, Panchabhautika Dravya can make change in your body. That is why Samanya Vishesha comes first. Because how Panchabhautika Dravyas make difference is abiding the rule of Samanyam and Vishesha. Okay, so that is operative. That is why Yukti perfectly comes there. Because in Darsanas there is no Yukti. In Ayurveda Yukti is there because Ayurveda is operative. You are doing something. Okay, Jala Karshana Bija Ritu Samyogam. And all these things come there. Okay. Then logically similar to, so another term is there which is from Buddhist perspective, that is called Pratitya Samutpadam. Pratitya Samutpada means everything is interconnected. No, nothing is absolute. Nothing is absolute. Rogam is not absolute. The causative factor for one is equal to one relationship you cannot say. Even though smokers are not developing cancer. Okay, smoking 1-to-1 correlation is not possible. So it is multifactorial. So it is in a web of connections. So health and diseases are not particularly caused by a particular thing. It is web of connections. That idea is originally seen in Pratitya Samutpadam of Buddhism, where it is that is called dependent origination. Means everything is interdependent. If a new thing is evolved, that will depend on multiple factors. Okay, so that is that Pratitya Samutpada is getting reflected in the concept of what is called this one, Yukti. And very important in risk analysis and prognostic prediction. Indriya Sthanam, in Varnaswariyam Indriyam, there are many factors explained. It is not a simply Varnam, Swaram, many factors are there. So you can consider multiple factors to predict what is called whatever you need. Okay, so multifactorial fashion is there in Yukti. Next. Here comes the actual risk analysis of, what is risk analysis? Risk analysis means the assessment of probability of disease by considering multiple, next is important, multiple interacting factors. It is not multiple factors alone. Okay, you can just see difference between multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. And another term is the transdisciplinary. What is multidisciplinary, what are interdisciplinary, and what is transdisciplinary? Multidisciplinary means you are doing the same thing in multiple disciplines. Okay, interdisciplinary means you are the disciplines are interacting. At the end, after getting the results, they will be interpreting these things based on all these things. Multidisciplinary means they are parallel. Okay, what is transdisciplinary? From the beginning itself they start to interact. Interdisciplinary means they will do independently and finally they will converge. Transdisciplinary means there are no boundaries at all. They start, the disciplines interact from the beginning itself. That is the difference between interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. Here you can say the same fashion like multiple interacting factors. Nidana, dosha, dushya, visheshebhyo. What is there? Visheshebhyo, vikara, vikhata, bhavam, and vikara, vikhata, abhavam. This is the outcome. Outcome is either it will be vikara, vikhata, bhavam, or it will be vikara, vikhata, abhavam of the combination of nidana, dosha, dushya, etc. Adi, you can add adi also. Then there are multiple variants like parasparam na anubadhanandi. They are not concurrent. Nidana, dosha, dushya are having different. So the outcome will be the disease will be less severe. And if they are concurrent, alpa, or Kaladairghyam is there. Different options are given there. It's not something like interaction together. It can be interaction in a longer period. It can be immediate interaction. So there are different criteria, different considerations in the interaction. So this typically involve that multifactorial assessment, risk assessment. That is there now in modern science. Okay, previously it was almost a one-to-one correlation. Smoking causes cancer. There is genetic factor causes something, or this microbes causing disease. Okay, but now many things come there. There can be epigenetic factors. Genetic factors are gene is there, but whether it should be expressed or not, there are many other factors. Drug interactions are there. Yes, many things are there. So considering all these things, it becomes really, they are interacting also. It becomes really multidisciplinary. So this principle of nidana dusya visheshebhyo vikara vikhata bhava abhava prativishesha bhavanti. Prativishesha means in this manner everything is different. Okay, so this is the model, this is the risk analysis model. Outcome is whether it is risky or not, whether it can be cured or not, or whether the disease will occur or not. Okay, next please. So here is the explanation of the same thing, Nidanam, considering Nidanam. Examples are given. Dosha, Dusya. What are the host susceptibility factors in their term? What is dosham and dushyam? Whether dosha and dusya are susceptible for occurrence of that particular disease or not. Whether they are interacting in that way. Dosha is similar to dusya. Dosha is dissimilar to dusya. Okay, so that is susceptibility, whether susceptibility is there or not. So that is host susceptibility. Then comes kalam, time factor, temporal, environmental factors are there. Examples are given there. Vikhada bhavam is a protective factor and vikhada abhavam is a risk factor. Okay, then comes weak alignment. Vikara, vikhada, bhava, abhava means bhava and abhava are again subclassified. Like there can be bhava but for longer duration. It is immediate, it is not immediate bhava. It can take time. Or it can be weak. Okay, anubaddhananti, strong alignment. Delay in manifestation. Kala pragarshad anubaddhananti. That is delay. Okay. Then abaliyamso anubaddhananti. Partial expression can be there. So all this, even in genetics, all these things are there. Whether it should be the difference between that phenotype and genotype. Genotype is there, but whether, what is the difference? Genotype and phenotype? Genotype is the original genome, original genes which you have, but phenotype is the genes which are expressed. Okay, there can be multiple factors, epigenetic factors for this. Originally the thing is there, but whether it has to express or not. So all these things come under this very, very important. This is not for Prameha only, even though it is mentioned in Prameha. Okay, Prameha it is very clear, but it applies to every disease. Yes, sadhya, sadhyata. Even in healthy condition also we can apply, because health also is multifactorial. Viruddha concept. Yes. Viruddha, another model, Viruddha model. I will include it in the next presentation. Actually, it is there. Actually, Viruddha speaks not about Viruddha actually. 18 factors which, Viruddha is there for 18 factors. It is risk factor. Okay, so what will be the protective factor there? Avoiding those Viruddha will be 18 protective factors. Aviruddha, yes. Aviruddha. Thank you, sir. Next, please. So there can be different research models in this. You can conduct a cohort study by observing people prospectively. So what all factors are there and how it is going to turn in the future. Case control study. Already that phenomena happened. Disease is there. What were the contributing factors previously? So in that sense, it can be case control study. Cross-sectional also. Cross-sectional means it will not be causative, but it can make some association. What are the factors there and what is the outcome there at a particular point of time? Many other types of analysis, multivariate analysis, because these times Ayurveda needs factor analysis, like you can see that we considered RCT as the gold standard of clinical research, but in our case RCT is not a gold standard because we have multiple factors. It is very, very difficult to control the factors. RCT means assumption is group A is equal to group B. Okay, that is a basic assumption. But in our case, Tushyam, Desham, Balam, Kala, everything has to be considered, no? So you have, if the sample size is bigger, you can consider factorial analysis. You can subgroup them. Subgroup analysis can be there. Subgrouping according to Prakriti. So what is the difference in effect? So that is needed, and slowly people are getting in consensus with that, because otherwise RCT, you take RCT as a gold standard. Okay, it is what is called it is a tragedy. RCT, if you consider as a gold standard, it will become very tragic, because finally, as Ram Manohar sir was doing a research in AVP, finally that Ksheerabala was tested in this one, rheumatoid arthritis, and the result was Ksheerabala is nothing but fat molecules. Okay, so whether this type of research will encourage you or not, we know that. Empirically, we know that it has effect. So, what effect is there, we have to support them with some evidence. Otherwise, like RCT, if you go there, that will make a big tragedy. Okay. Okay, risk score model, and so many things are there. Next, please. What is sampling in Charaka Samhita? Sample is a representative portion of the population. What is the population there? Lokam is the population. What is sample there? Purusha is the sample. So whatever is there, so true representative means the definition of sample is given there. Yavanda Purusho Murtimando Bhava Visheshaha. Yavando, it's a Purusha can be just Yavanda sample Murtimando Bhava Vishesha, Tavando population. If it is converted like that, perfect definition of population. Okay, so that is the sampling method used by Charaka, Purusha, Loka-Purusha, Samya. And Purusha, as it can be called a projection, or that is called extrapolation. If you observe, this tradition started from Sankhya Darsana. So you speak about Srishti Prakriya of dash. Srishti Prakriya of dash. Lokam. Srishti Prakriya of Lokam. But the explained thing is Srishti Prakriya of an individual. Buddhi comes there, Ahangara comes there, Indriyas come there, everything comes there. So whatever is explained in Purusha can be applied to Loka. Loka, it is very difficult to identify things. Purusha, it is very easy to identify things. Okay, so even though that is explained as Srishti Prakriya of the Loka, you can just in a better manner you can explain those things in a living organism, because living organism, that there comes the sampling. That is called a projection. You project this thing too. So if you can explain this thing in Purusha, that applies to Loka also. That is the understanding, basic understanding. You need not prove it, because it is the basic understanding. Every time it is proven. You need not do research for proving Loka-Purusha Samyam, because whatever is proven is getting added to that theory. That is Loka-Purusha Samyam. So there is no research method for proving Loka-Purusha Samyam. Whatever you do in Panchabhuta or whatever it may be, that will be applying to Loka-Purusham. Okay, so next. Okay, so why it is representative? It is representative, so same attributes for Loka and Purusha. In Tridosha, where it is present all over the body. Okay, so while explaining Tridosha, you explaining the whole body, it is there. So wherever you take a sample, which organ is taken, that can be applied to the whole body. Jivatma, Paramatma. Jivatma is the sample of Paramatma. That is why Charaka, while explaining Atmalingam, towards the end he used the term Paramatmani. Lingani Paramatmanaha. It's not Jivatma. Both are the same. So you can take Jivatma as the sample of Paramatma. Okay, next. Then comes Avayavam and Samudayam in sampling. Avayavam means there is different parts. Samudaya means the whole group. So there are 3 drugs in a group. Avayava means individual drugs. And okay, so avayava, if avayava is homogeneous to samudaya, in a drug, for example, Tribhala, avayava is that Saridagi, Vibhidagi, and there they are having, these avayavas are having different properties. And the whole will be having another property. Okay, but if the avayava and samudaya is same, like tridosha is there in wherever you see tridoshas are there. Okay, it applies to one avayava, same time it applies to another avayava also. So so that is samudaya and avayava are homologous in that sense. If it is homologous, you can just consider the avayavas to be representative of what is called a samudaya. Every time it does not happen. Agreed the point. But if the group is, if the population is heterogeneous, okay, the sampling method will be different. If avayava is homologous to samudaya, sampling method will be simple random sampling. Whatever you take, it will represent. But when it is different groups are there, it is heterogeneous, there you have to take another sampling methods like a stratified sampling. You determine some sort of strata. And you can take a cluster sampling. Some of the clusters you can phase sampling, something like that. Where?
Methodology, yes, but we can make a methodology by looking into.
You can make a methodology, research methodology. It is a problem of comparison. Whether which is mentioned in Charaka Samhita is comparable with the present research methods. Okay, so today we will speak about that. Whether it is comparable with the present, or my question is there a radical difference, basic difference, fundamental difference between the ancient, what you call as a classical research, which is there with Anumana, Hetvabhasa, or whatever things are there, or Pramana, Pariksha, all those things, that is the classical research method what we explain. Is there a radical difference, fundamental difference between those methods with the currently available research methods is the point of discussion today. So my hypothesis is, okay, I propose a hypothesis, you need not agree with that. I will be having a pratijna. What is that pratijna? Yes, it is comparable. It is not same, but it is comparable. Okay, let us examine it. A pratijna, I will propose some hetu. Finally, we will come into some nigamanam. Okay, he pratijna, hetu, udaharana, upanayam, and finally nigamanam. Okay, so that is the beginning. Now comes, while speaking about research, one thing is I have 3 hours to take the class. I will finish this thing first. And whenever you get bored, then you please raise your hand. I will switch over to the other topic. Our other topic is Tridosha. As Gandhiji says about truth and non-violence, there is nothing new to teach. There is nothing new to teach you about Tridosha. But I can teach another thing. I can teach how to teach Tridosha. It is not teaching Tridosha, but teaching about, that is called meta teaching. Whenever you add a term meta to any word, that will be what is meta research? Research about research. What is meta thinking? Thinking about thinking. What is meta teaching? Teaching about. So if time permits, I will deal with how to, because as a part of my PhD study, I developed a module, a model to teach Tridosha. So that was my study. So we will see that, because Tridosha, Vada, Pitta, Kapha, Tatra Ruksho, Lakhushita. There is no need to explain all these things once, because you are teachers, so we will deal with that also. So both the classes will be not 1.5 hours for this and 1.5 hours for that. It will not be like that. Whatever time we get, we will adjust to these 2 things in between in that time. Agreed. So whenever you get bored, you can just raise hand, I will break. But my duty I have to complete. Okay. So whenever you speak about research, you should be very clear about some terms there. Okay. So one is called ontology. Now onwards, I will speak in a term in modern research, and you can identify the corresponding things in Ayurveda. Ayurveda means classical research. It may not be Charaka Samhita per se. We will discuss it Charaka Samhita later. But you can consider Nyaya Darsana, Tarka Sangraha, or Sankhya Darsana, whatever may be. Okay. So what is ontology? In our terms, what is ontology? Ontology is the definition, framing ontology. What is ontology means the knowledge about what is existing. Knowledge about what is existing. So in our terms, what will be ontology? Prama. What is existing means that is the knowledge, but what exists outside is called the study of this thing is called ontology. You can just modify that prama into another term related to prama, that is called prameyam. So what is existing? There are 6 categories of existence. Satta is divided into 6. That is padartham. So padartham is related to ontology. Then in Sankhya Darsana you can call tattva is there. 25 principles are there. So all those things are avyakta is existing. Saukshmya tad anupalabdhirna bhava. Avyakta is existing, but it is not clear. When it becomes clear, that is called vyakta. So vyakta is existing and clear. Avyakta is existing but not clear. So that is existing. So in Sankhya language, the ontology is something related to 25 principles. Okay. In Vaisheshika, it is padartha. Okay. In Navyanyaya, it is sapta padartha. There comes abhava also. Whether abhava is existing or not. Whether abhava is existing or not. Abhava is existing. Unperceivable also. All the three definitions like three criteria for fixing whether it is padartha or not. What is that? Astitva. So all those things are there with abhava. Okay, abhava is existing, abhava you can know, abhava you can describe. Okay, so that is ontology. What is epistemology? That is pramana part. In which way you are going to deal with the knowledge. Can be pratyaksha, anumana, or whatever it may be. So what is axiology? Axiology may be a new term. Axiology means it is the ethical part of research. So there is another topic, ethics in Ayurveda. So that applies to research also. Vaidya Sadvruttam is there. Okay. And even it starts from Sarva Bhuta Anugamba. Sarva Bhuta Anugamba is the master statement for what is called ethics in Ayurveda, morality. Because it started with Sarva Bhuta Anugamba. That is ethics. So that is there in Ayurveda. And but this is lacking in Nyaya Darsanam. Nyaya Darsanam, there is no much description about because we are dealing with human beings. Nyaya Darsana is not dealing directly with because it is for understanding the nature. It is not to treat somebody. So we have to treat human beings. So axiology is more important in Ayurveda. Okay. So then comes methodology. We have many tools there. Pariksha Vidhi. Different types of Pariksha Vidhis are there. Dasavidha Parisha, Dasavidha Pariksham. So many things are there. So all those things come with what is called methodology. Darsana Sparsana Prasnam, patient examination. We have research methodology. Like if you consider Panjabhayava Vakyam, it is a methodology to do research and to report the research. So Panjabhayava Vakyam usually comes in the context of Parartha Anumanam. Agreed. What is Parartha Anumanam? Research reporting. You have already done the research and you are reporting to the others. That is called research reporting. So Panjabhayava Vakyam are the components of research reporting. So it is there. Methodology is there. Then comes logic. Logic means it is reasoning. On what basic reasoning we do the works. Two types of reasoning are there. We are going to explain that. One is called inductive reasoning. The other one is called deductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is 1, 2, 3, 4. Finally, you generalize that. Okay. So inductive reasoning is the primary method of learning. When a child grows, see a cat, second cat, third cat, fourth cat, finally it will be generalized. That cat is something like that. That is called a samanyam. So inductive method is bringing out the samanyam, and deductive method is bringing out the vishesham. What is the difference between cat and dog? That is a deductive thing. So you will be having comparison. So control studies are deductive approach. One group, another group. What is the difference there? So those things are coming under a deductive approach. Am I speaking weird things? Am I speaking weird things? Agreeable, no? So that agreement is very important. Okay. So finally, I put that point as systems approach. It is very natural to our science. System approach considers everything as a system, and there will be multiple components for that system. For example, Tridosha is a system. Vata, Pitta, Kapha are the components. Okay, so if you define the system at the level of Tridosha, Tridosha is our topic also. If you define the system at the level of Tridosha, components would be Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And if you take Vata as a system, Gunas are its components. Okay, so in that thing, what is the level of fixing the system? If human being is a system, you can consider that Sharira, Indriya, Sattva, Atma are the components there. If you consider Atma as a system, Jivatma, Paramatma are the components there. So it is something relative. It is like a Samanyam and Vishesha. Samanyam and Vishesha are relative. For example, we all share a Samanya, that is human being. But then you can define gender-wise. Then comes Vishesha. If you take gender as a Samanya, you can break it region-wise, age-wise. So this understanding of Samanya Vishesha is very, very similar to the understandings of system approach. But system approach is now there in modern science very recently. But we have that sense of application of systems from the beginning itself. Agreed? So that becomes very, very important. That also we will discuss. So system approach is the research paradigm in contemporary research. In contemporary research, system approach, network approach. Network approach is something like that. It is not a single component. There are many components connected together. So that is very much fitting to our science. Agreed. Okay. Now we will go to. So this we have already discussed. What is ontology, what is epistemology, what is axiology, methodology, logic, and systems approach. Okay. Ayyo. There is some problem in that slide. You can just see that. Charaka made some important declarations about what you call it, research. First thing is pariksha karinohi kushala bhavanti. Agreed. So for everything you have to do research. That is one thing. Second thing is Vina Tarkena ya Siddhir Yedricha Siddhireva sa. Where it is mentioned? That is why it is called Siddhisthana. Yedricha Siddhireva sa. Vina Tarkena. What is Tarka there? It can be reasoning, application of logic. There are three terms which is very important in research methodology. One is Tarka, second thing is Anumana, and third thing is Yukti. Okay, but these three things are connected together. Anumanastu khalu tarko yukti apeksha. Anumana, Tarka and Yukti. It is very, very important. We have to differentiate. We have to assimilate them. But we have to differentiate them. What is Tarka? Tarka will be, we will discuss it later. What is the research implication of Tarka and all, we will discuss it later. So that term is Vinas, Yadricha Siddhi. Yadricha Siddhi means very, very incidental type of things. So what will be the difference between Yadricha Siddhi and Tarkana Siddhi? It should be repeatable. Yadricha Siddhi is a single incident, but it should be repeatable to become that is called a reliability. Reliability is a power of repetition, repeating things. When it is repeated again and again, that will become a theory. Okay, that is why Bahuvidham Pariksha in Siddhanta. Okay, Bahuvidham Pariksha means there should be multiple times you have to attempt that. Then Yadricha becomes what is called a Siddhanta. Okay, my question is whether Yadricha itself is becoming a part of research or not. We need repeatability, but Yadricha itself, whether it can be a research input or not. Where in the research evidence hierarchy is there, no? Evidence hierarchy is there. It starts from the very basic thing is case reporting, case series. So case reporting means it is not repeated. The case series it is repeating, but case reporting is simply, that means Yadricha is a beginning. Starting, yes, very, very, very good. Starting.
But that cannot be considered Yadricha. It is not accidental.
No, it is a single incident, not accidental, but incidental. Incidental means somewhere only single observation is there. In that sense, it is not accidental, but it is incidental. I agree with that. It is not accidental. Okay, so Yadricha, where incidents comes, and if you can repeat those things again and again, that will come as a theory or Siddhanta. Agree. Then third thing is in Charagam Vimanasana 8th chapter towards the last, Roga-Bhishak Jidiyam, that is the important thing. Mention 2 chapters in Charaka Samhita which is solely dedicated to research methodology. Vimana 8th 3. Trividha Roga Vishesha Vijnanam is there. Yes, 8 is there. I consider another chapter which is more important. Sutrasthanam. Tisreshaniyam. Very good, very good. Tisreshaniyam. Tisreshaniyam is research. Actually is doing research. We will discuss it there. Actually it is doing research on a research topic whether Punarjanma is there or not. Okay. Research question is there. Hypothesis is there. Data collection is there. Interpretation is there. Everything is there. Okay. So it is the research manual. You can consider it as a research manual in Charaka Samhita. Okay. Agreed. So Prajaranama Vibhutshugasya Bijamiva Karshagasya Sutram Buddhimatam Alpam Api Analpajnanaya Bhavati. The last part is very important. Alpam Api Analpajnanaya Bhavati. What you do is in research is a minimal result. Because you are doing research in a sample. Analpajnanaya means you are converting it to generalize it to the population. So Alpajnanam converted to Analpajnanam. So that Alpajnanam should be very, very condensed. Otherwise it cannot be translated to what is called Analpajnanam. Okay, it should be that much condensed, valid, essential things should be there. Agreed. So that is the Charaga's view on how to convert a sample observation to a population observation. Okay. Shastra Sahitas Tarkaha Sadhananam. Shastra Sahitas Tarkaha Sadhananam is mentioned in Yajaprushya. So Shastra Sahita Tarka. Tarka means reasoning, or Tarka has many meanings. The discussion part is there. Vyapya aropena vyapaka aropastarkam is there. It is a hypothetical assumption. Vyapya aropena vyapaka aropaha. Both are aropa. What is the difference between Anumanam and Tarkam?
Tarka is utilized in Anumana.
No, by definition, yes, I agree. Tarka, Yukti, but by definition in Tarka Sangraha it is mentioned as Vyapya Aropena Vyapaka Aropaha Tarkaha. Okay. The same definition if you develop as a definition of Anumana, it will come, I will just, there is no such a definition, but I will create a definition. Vyapya Darsanena Vyapaka Aropaha Anumanaha. Vyapya Aropena Vyapaka Aropaha Tarkaha. What is the difference there?
Both are assumed.
Both are assumed. In Tarka, both are assumed. Vyapya and Vyapaka. It is not there. Actually, nothing is happening, but you assume that if X happens, then Y will happen. But in Anumana, X happened and Y is there. Okay, both are important in research. Sometimes what happens is, if at all you are not taking any case, any sample, you are conducting what is called a hypothetical deduction. I will tell an example. In 1905, Albert Einstein proclaimed a declaration was there, like there is something called black holes. It is not named then. It is 1905. It is named as something is there, because at that time there was a discussion like photons are the components of light. Photons are having mass. Okay. So photons are having mass is one proposal. Second thing is, whichever is having mass, they will be attracted. It's a second proposal. He deducted, he had a tarka there. He had a hypothetical deduction that if light is composed of photons on one premise, second premise is masses will be attracted, there is every chance to the light be trapped and becoming there is no light, there is something. He did not call that phenomena, but in 1985 it was established that black hole is there. Nothing is seen there. No, it is not pratyaksha purvam. It is not Anumana should be pratyaksha purvam, but Tarka there is no pratyaksha purvam. So that is why Tarka is classified under Aprama. Aprama is not insignificant. Aprama is very, very significant, because you cannot start a thing without samshayam. In research process, Aprama is significant. Viparyam is significant. When you accept a null hypothesis, at that particular time, it is something like, it is the opposite thing, which does not exist. So in research purpose, Aprama also is important, because without samshaya you cannot start. That is why Nyaya Darsana, while enlisting 16 terms, Tarka also is included there. Then Tarka is there, no? Samshaya is there anyway. Samshaya is there. Samshaya is the beginning of research. That is called research question. Sthanurva Purusha Vaidi. Whether it is Sthanu or whether it is Purusha, whether it is X or whether it is Y. So that is called a research question. So Samshaya is research question in that way. Agreed? Okay. Shastra Sahidas Tarkaha Sadhananam Buddhimadam cha Swalakshanya Anumana Yukti Kusalanam Anuktartha. That is the last term is very important. Anuktartha Jnanam. Anuktartha Jnanam means one which is missing in the literature. Anuktam and Leshoktam is there. When you go for Tantra Yukti, you can see these terms. Anuktam and Leshoktam. Something will be hinted there and something is not mentioned there. So research works on Anuktartham and Leshoktam. What is the gap there? Gap is the Anuktartham. That is called a research gap. Agreed? Okay. Then pratyaksham hi alpam analpam apratyaksam asti yada agama anumana yukti bhiru upalabhyade is another statement. The importance of yukti, agama, everything is there. Okay, so these are some of the master statements which are relevant in the context of. So this is the research trinity you can call. Tarkam, Anumanam. Tarka, Anumana we have compared and we are going to compare Anumana and Yukti. Can you tell difference between Anumana and Yukti? Already it is there. The coming slides it is there. Any difference? Any similarity? Karanam is there. Yes.
But in Yukti it is Bahu Karana Yoga.
Yes, that is a difference. It's a difference. Bahu Karana Yoga. What does it imply? Why it is different from Anumana? Because if it is included in Anumana, the process is almost the same, no? You are going to infer something, predict something based on some observations.
Anumana is 1:1.
1:1.
And Yukti is multiple 1.
Very good, very good. Systems approach. Multiple variants, multiple exposures are there. Okay, a product is not simply a product from 1-to-1 correlation. That is bija becoming, the examples are the same. Have you noted that? Examples are the same. Bhalat bijam anumiyate. Here it is jala karshana bija ritu. So there are 3 other factors apart from bija in yukti, but anumana there is only 1 factor. Okay. So that means Anumana is the process and Yukti is the consideration of multiple factors to derive in a. So you can declare the probability, more probability in Yukti, because Yukti there will be multiple factors. And it is operative also. I will explain it later. Operative means you are doing something. Jala karshana bija ritu. Madhya Mandhara, Mandhana, Samanthaga, Mandha. So you are doing operative, procedural things are there. The other one is only observation. Okay, you are making Agni there. Where? In Yukti. But in Anumana you are just observing Agni or Dhuma or whatever it may be. So it is more operative. Yukti is more operative. I see it by the examples only. There is no such definitions there. But in the example you can see that it is more operative, it is more procedural. Or in the research term you can call it as more interventional. More interventional. Okay, so we will go to the discussions later. Okay. Research culture, that I will just fastly move this slide. Greatly influenced by darsana. Which darsana? Nyaya is there. Okay, sir. Okay. Nyaya is there, readily Nyaya is there. Then is there anything with the Sankhya? We will discuss it. Any comments? Sankhya. What is the basic difference between the Sankhya approach and Sankhya Yoga approach and Nyaya Vaisheshika approach? I will give you a hint. One is inductive and other is deductive. Can you infer that statement, something from that statement? One is inductive and the other one is deductive. Which is inductive? Sankhya is inductive because it wants to generalize everything. Everything is composed of three guna. So whatever you see, X, Y, Z, finally you will be reaching that. If at all they are different, final thing is common. That is Samanyam. That is called, in the language of Vaisheshika, it is called Samanyam. Everything is finally, like we say that everything is Tridoshatmakam. So we got that training from Sankhya. Every diseases are Trigoda. But other side, it is, there is something, but there are different classes. Like Dravya is there. I will speak about Guna only. Okay, so what is Guna in Sankhya Darsanam and what is Guna in Vaisheshika Darsanam? Are there difference? In Sankhya Darsana, Guna means Trigunam. Okay, in Vaisheshika Darsanam, Guna means property or quality. So what is the primary difference there in that approach?
Triguna includes these gunas also.
Triguna includes these gunas also. Okay, very good.
They told it in broader way, these people.
In Vaisheshika, Dravya is there and Guna are the attributes of Dravya. Okay, so Guna is there in Dravya. It is something like a vessel is there and there are something inside. It is something like that. But Triguna is a bigger thing. Like Dravya is composed of Triguna. It is Trigunatmakam. It is not Dravya is possessing Triguna. It is Dravya is Trigunatmakam. Like Panchabhutatmakam. We don't say that Dravyas are possessing Panchabhuta. It is not something. Possessing Guna, possessing Karma, it is there. But Panchabhuta Atmakam means Atmakam, means it is composed of. So Triguna Atmakam means Dravya is. So that means Guna is getting a status of Dravya there. If you speak in Vaisheshika language. If you speak to Kapila, who is the master of Sankhya Darsana, in the language of Vaisheshika, he will say that what you say as Dravya is what I say in Guna. Okay, because it is inductive, everything is composed of Guna. The other side it is. So this is the influence of Darsana in research parlance. One is inductive and the other one is deductive. So where is our position? Whether we are inductive or deductive? We are theoretically inductive and practically deductive. Because everything is counted as Tridosha, that is inductive. But to treat that knowledge will be sufficient. You have to consider Purusham Vikshya, Dushyam, Desham, Balam, Kalam. That is more systems approach. Dushyam, Desham, Balam, Kalam, Anilam, Prakritim, Maya. So you have to analyze everything. That means deductive. So we are the compromise formula. Ayurveda is a compromised formula. Whatever is essential, we will adopt that. We are not strict followers of a particular darsana. Even in Katitha Purusha, we can see many darsanas coming there. Okay, so darsana strictly influence what is called research, and importance is given to pramana and pariksha, agreed. Two broad approaches are there. Holistic and reductionistic, almost equal to inductive and deductive. Holistic means inductive, and taking as a whole, that is very, very important in systems approach. Taking as a whole. And reductionistic means it is taken into pieces. Okay, I will tell another example. Sharira Indriya Sattva Atma Samyogam is one approach. Okay, Shadanga Mangam is another approach. Shadangam means it is deductive. I is there in that position only. I is not there in everywhere. But Sharira Indriya Sattva Atma means it is everywhere in your body. Atma is everywhere. Indriya can be everywhere. Skin is everywhere. Okay. Sattva can, it is not at a particular time, it is at one point, but it can traverse any part of your body. So that approach speaks about the whole body, but Shadangam speaks about Marma Shariram is there. It is very, very particular, deductive, very, very particular. Okay, so what is mentioned in Sharira Sthanam, in Ashtanga Hridayam, Shadangam, Dhatus, different functions of Dhatus, all those things is similar to deductive approach, whereas the other thing is similar to what is called there can be mismatching also. Broadly, it can be concluded like that. Okay, so Sharira in Sharirasthana is different from Sharira in Sutrasthana. Okay, we will explain that point later, if time permits. Okay, observation than experimental. Ayurveda, so you can argue with me that mostly we have an observational pattern than experimental pattern. I don't think that there was a study group and another side there was a control group and this study group. Sometimes it is there, but mostly we are adopting so our methodology is mostly suitable to an observational type of things, and experimental is flourished very recently only. Okay, and we have a qualitative approach more than quantitative approach. Okay, so we will discuss this point later. So these are the different processes which can be there in different in Ayurveda. Whenever you talk about a particular thing in Ayurveda while making the theories, you will start from Prakriti. You will start from nature. That is why it is called Swabhava Samsiddha Lakshanatvad. Start from nature. Then you come to body. That is the importance of Loka-Purusha. You start in Loka and then coming to Purusha, apply in Purusha, experimentations can be there and secondary assumptions can be there, finally reaching into a theory. I will explain it with one example in the next slide. And modern, it is, you will propose a hypothesis there, then taking the evidences and finally empirical data will be collected and interpreted to theory. And the Nyaya method is like Pradijna Hetu Udaharanam Upadayam and Nigamanam, hypothesis, reasoning, references and analysis and finally reaching into the conclusion. That is the method of Nyaya. And there is a Socratic method also. Socratic method means hypothesis, thesis, antithesis and synthesis. So there will be hypothesis and there will be antithesis, means there will be counter arguments and counter arguments, and finally you will be reaching in a synthesis. So can you suggest a thing in a Socratic method in Charaka Samhita? Padamargam is there. Sambhashana is there.
Garbha formation.
Garbha formation is there. Number of rasa is there. Number of rasa, and the most important synthesis is in Yajnapurushiyam. You can see a very, very beautiful description, like many factors are contributing to. So each participant will be arguing, their own arguments will be given. Finally, it will be synthesized in a statement. What is a statement? One more thing. That is Yeshameva hi bhavanam sambat sanjanayenaram teshameva vipadvya. Whatever factors are contributing to a particular thing, derangement of those factors will lead to disease. That is the most synthesized thing. You can argue with any number of components. Any number of, it can be Atma, it can be Sattva, it can be everything, anything, Ahara, Rasa, Matra, Pitra, anything you can. So whatever you consider, normality of those things will lead to health, and abnormality of those. So that means health and diseases are not contributed by different things. The same thing in different combination or different status will lead to so that is the most highest synthesis which we can have, because we are not negating anything, but whatever you consider your arguments, but whatever you consider, that will lead to health and disease at different situations. Okay, so that is synthesis. So these are some of the models in which here you can see, like yes, so derivation of a theory may be in this way. So if you want to describe the gunas of pitta, okay, so you will start from nature. Agni is there outside, so there should be, so digestive process, there should be one Agni in your body. So primary assumption is presence of a fire in your body, because it is there outside. So Loka-Purusha Samyam is the law there. Okay. So you can name it. That is called a nomination. Tapam is there. So you name it as Pittam. Now comes secondary observation. Some more observations we go there. Secondary observation, like Pitta is not destructive. So it is not making body destructive. It is not making, normally, it is not burning your body. Normal Agni will be sometimes burn. If it is more, it will burn. It is not burning your body. And you can have an interim assumption like Pitta has difference from Agni. So some sort of difference is there in the Laukika Agni and the Jatara Agni. Okay, so what can be that difference? So advanced observation can be presence of some smoothening, some sort of a protective elements. The body's most protective element will be Snigdha. So it protects from Ruksha, and even it protects from Ushna also. Ushna creates Rukshada in that sense. So some sort of soothing things are there. So you can just start to add a Snigdhada there. Even though it is totally Snigdha, it has assistance of Siddha. So that is why it is called Sasneham. It is not Snigdham. It is only Sasneham. It needs the presence of Snigdha. By nature it is not perfectly Snigdha, but it needs the nature of Snigdha. So that is the regulating mechanism within. Vata also is having this regulator mechanism. Like Vata, normally it should be Ushna. Like Ruksha is there, Sukshma is there, Laghu is there. Which quality is comparable with homologous to these qualities will be Ushna. Ushna can be very easy to become Laghu. Ushna is very easy to become Chala. Ushna is very easy to become Sukshma. But it is Sita. that is the internal regulating mechanism, because Vata is not that much destructive to your body. If it was Ushna, suppose it was Ushna, it will be at that particular, at the time of formation itself, your body will be burnt into ashes. So that is the internal regulatory mechanism there. So that means this can be the way in which the concept may be evolved at that particular point of time. Okay. Now it is very easy. There are 16 terms. Whoever knows Nyaya Darsana can just compare these things to whatever you know. Ara Nyayathinte expert ulla, who is the expert in Nyaya here? Who can just spell out the Nyaya 16 tattvas in Nyaya? Shodasha, it's called Shodasha tattva or Shodasha padartha. Alle angane parayille, Nyayathile, in the Nyaya there is a Shodasha padartha. So if somebody is very clear about that, you can just enlist Shodasha Padartha. Or you can just assume what are they. Anyway, 16 is equal to 16. So anyway you have to compare it. Anyway you have to compare it.
Pramana is there.
First one is mostly related to Pramana. Yes, research methodology. What is the method? What is the method of identifying things? Okay, second thing. Research area. That second padartha mentioned there is prameyam. Prameyam means on what you are going to research. That is called the prameyam. Okay, third thing is, on the prameya, you will be having some sort of a confusion there, some sort of a samshaya there. That is called a research question. Whether A is B, what is the difference between A and B? Okay, that is samshayam. Then comes purpose. That is called a prayojana. That is the fourth padartha, prayojana. Now it is very easy. Now it's almost in that sequence comes. Then what is the fifth one? Siddhanta. Drishtanta. Drishtanta means, here Drishtanta means whatever is commonly available in the public domain. Drishtanta will be thing which is Murkha Vidusham Buddhi Samyam. Murkha Vidusham Buddhi Samyam means whatever is there in the common domain, that is called a Drishtandam. Agreed? Any person who is interested can just go to that place. That is the public domain. It is published somewhere. It is not a private property. It is a public property. So there you can get many references, many previous papers, previous attempts, everything comes as Drishtandam there. Okay, then comes Siddhantam. Siddhantam can be of four types. The four things are equally important in research. Some Siddhantas are already formed. That is accepted by different disciplines. And some other Siddha, that is called a Sarvatantra. Some Siddhantas are already formed, but it is limited to a particular discipline. Pratitantra. Some Siddhantas are not mentioned there, but it is already accepted. That is called a Adhikarana Siddhanta, implied theory. Okay, some Siddhantas are on the way of formation. We propose that Siddhanta. That is called a Abhyupagamam. So all these things are important, Siddhanta. Okay. Then come theoretical elements of research reporting. Avayava, elements of research reporting. Avayava means while you write a thesis, you are writing a thesis, There you start with the hypothesis. Hypothesis means the whole introduction. You will be stating what is hypothesis, everything will be. Then you come to hetu. Hetu in research, what is hetu? Hetur nama upalabdhi karanam, that is data collection. Reason, evidence, not objective, evidence. Or you can, what is that chapter called? What is that chapter of thesis called? Hetu. Observations. Observation chapter is Hetu. There, that is the heart of thesis. Okay, what all observations you made. Okay. Pradijna Hetu. Udaharanam means? Yes, previous research works, whatever is, that comes everywhere. That you can, from beginning when you start the review of literature, up till the discussion also. Discussion also you have to make some review of literature. Review of literature will be done at different points. It is not something which is completed. Even at the end of the research, you also, after getting the observations, if you want to compare with some other observations, you have to do again, you have to do review literature. So all those things you are considering which is already established. Okay, Drishtandam. What is Upanayam? Discussion and analysis. Discussion and analysis. So you got the observation, you got the review literature. Now you are going to discuss and interpret. That is called Upanayam. Finally, Nigamanam. So that is the repetition of the whether it is accepted or not. Usually we reach in the same thing as hypothesis, Pradijna. But in modern research, there can be, even in experimental research, there can be two options. One is accepting the null hypothesis or rejecting the null hypothesis. Sometimes it happens otherwise also. You should be accepting the null hypothesis. That state was not, it is there. I will discuss it. That state also is there in Nyaya Darsana. Accepting the null hypothesis. You can consider it as Vediregam. Vediregam is, it is not there. Since it is likewise you can have we will discuss it later. Vediregam can be considered. So final conclusion is Nirnayam. Hypothetical discussion is Tarkam. Hypothetical discussion is Tarkam. Final conclusion Nirnayam. Methods of discussion Vadam. Then different methods Jalpam and Vitanda. That everything comes when you report these things. In this thing, thesis, writing thesis or presenting the research and all. Now onwards the things are related to what is called the final discussion. Okay, presentation, discussion, arguments, counter arguments, wrong arguments, right arguments, wrong evidence, use of wrong, chalam jati is there. That is a wrong interpretation. It is not wrong evidence. It is not hetwabhasam. Hetwabhasam is another thing. Hetwabhasam is wrong evidence. But chalam jati is wrong interpretation of evidence. Okay, so all those things are related to the final production of your findings. So that means 16 padarthas are the core factors which are related to research methodology. That is why we call Nyaya Darsana as a classical research methodology. Okay, it is comparable to modern research methods also. Okay. This is the list. So I will give you the slides and it will be very easy. Okay, those who are not that much clear about those padarthas, you can just go through. You will be having a lot of, even though the class is for 3 hours, at least you have to spend 12 hours to prepare these things if you want to present in the class. Okay, Google is up to the sky. Google is there, Tarka Sangra, everything is there. Knowledge, you can just Google it and take the relevant information. Okay, now comes another area, method of, as madam was telling, method of data collection, which are the Hetur Nama, Upalabdhi Karanam. So there, in Chakrapani explains what is the difference between Hetu in Anumanam and Hetu mentioned here. Hetu in Anumanam is typically evidence. Agni is the Hetu of inferring, means Dhuma is the Hetu for inferring Agni. So that means Hetu. Hetu is used in three different meanings. One is the actual Hetu. For example, Vatarekta is caused by. Vatarekta is caused by. For example, Vidahinnam Viruddham cha Tattacha Asak Pradushanam. That is the causative factor for Vatarekta. That is the actual cause. But when a patient comes to you and you see some symptoms in that patient, to reach in a conclusion that that is Vatarekta, that Hetu means the observation or evidence to diagnose it as Vatarekta. It is not the actual Hetu. So Hetu in the context of Roganidhanam is different, and Hetu in the context of Anumana is different, and this Hetu is another thing. This Hetu is Upalabdhi Karanam. Upalabdhi Karanam means how are you going to collect data? Agreed. So in that Charaka Vyakya, Samhita, in Chakrapani Vyakya, he mentions that this Hetu is not same as the Hetu which is mentioned in Anumana. I think that point is clear. Okay, half clear. Dhuma is there. Smoke is there. In your mind, if smoke is there, Agni is there. My intention is to make something smoky, not Agni. You have to find out Agni there. Okay, some problem is there. Something is there like a smoke. So I will make everything smoky, and you will be left and you will go and work from home. At home you can work and make the Agni there. I cannot make Agni. So only my intention is to make some confusion there. Agreed. So objective of my presentation is making confusion about research. Agreed. Samshaya will be there, Agni will be there, but if Agni is there, definitely there is, means Dhuma is there, definitely Agni is there. So that in that sense also Dhuma is important. Okay. So I think if you want to ask need some more clarification, I will explain. But now I will go in this way. At the end we will make some more clarification. Okay. Otherwise it cannot be completed. Okay. So, Hedurnam Upalabdhi Karanam Pratyaksham. So, what are the data collection methods there? Primary data is there. Primary data means one you observe directly. That is Pratyaksham. Secondary data means one which is already documented. That is called Aptopadesha. And there is another thing called metadata. Metadata means data about data. You can call it as meta-analysis, systematic review. So already data is there. What kind of data is there? That data is called metadata. Okay, that is called Aitihyam. Aitihyam is somewhat different from, Aitihyam is almost equal to Aptopadesha. Aitihyam means the impression of the people about the Aptopadesha. It need not be directly Aptopadesha, or it can be included in the Aptopadesha. Aitihyam is convention. Convention means already there are many things happening, but people will be having some sort of an approach to that. That thing is that will be passed out. That is why Aitihyam is called metadata. impression of people about the data. That data can be collected. Okay. So inferential data can be there. That is Anumanam. Finally, that analogical data is very, very important nowadays. Upamanam. It is called Aupamyam. In Charaka Samhita it is mentioned as Aupamyam, and in Nyaya Darsana it is Upamanam. So Aupamyam is a data which is created in a similar situation. So if you are unable to find out a data from patients directly, you can use a simulation there. Because it is similar to that. The similarity is the hallmark of Aupamyam. Okay. So this even in this type of studies, that is network studies, what is called in computerized, the computational models are there. Computation models. It is not an actual drug you are not testing, but you will make an image of that drug. Network pharmacology is there. Then what is called the other term? What is that? What is not translational? Newer method of research. I forgot that name. It is something like you are making a simulation. Simulation means it is not actual drug, you model of a drug, and with that model you will be testing many things, and finally you need not take the drug, but your computer will do everything. Okay, so there you can see what is called Upaman. It is not directly, but there is similarity. In silico. Yes. Thank you, ma'am. In silico study. In silico study. In silico study, you are not at all going to the actual drug. You are just using some sort of a computational model to imitate that drug, and how it body also is imitated. Drug is imitated and body also is imitated, and how they are going to interact. That is the study in computation models. So there you can see what is called Aupamyam. It is not the actual thing, there is a similarity. In that way, that aspect is there. I am not arguing that Upamanam is equal to computational model, but some sort of elements in Upamana can be used in computational model. Okay. Now we will discuss about another thing. We will go to another area. Research is about establishing a particular association. Especially that type of research is called experimental research or analytical research. Research are basically of two types. One is called descriptive research. The other thing is called analytical research. Analytical research, you will be finally reaching into a particular conclusion with the data. What is descriptive? Descriptive is data only. You are just classifying data. You are not reaching into a particular conclusion, you are not reaching. So analytical means you are, so Anumana is a part of analytical. Pratyaksha alone is there where that is called descriptive data. So whatever data are available, you will be tabulating. Nothing is done by you. You are only a man to classify things. Okay. So anyway, in experimental or analytical type of things, you are going to establish different things. One can be an incidence. One can be an incidence. This happened here, what can be the cause for that, what is the effect of that. In a particular incidence, if you can go for A and B are there, they are incidentally associated. Okay, two people are going together. Okay, so then when two people are going together, the incidence means they are seen together. That is incidence. Now we will get a curiosity that whether these people are related otherwise. Especially when it is a boy and girl. Then we will see for what is called association. Association means it is not a particular point. You have to project it to longitudinally, to whether they are always together. Okay, that is called association. There is another term called correlation. Association means when you see them, they are together. Correlation means wherever X is there, Y also is there. Etra etra dhumah tatra etra vanni. What is that called? Yatra yatra dhumah tatra etra vannihi iti sahajarya niyamo dash. Vyapti. Vyapti, it is correlation. Okay. The other one is sambandham. Sambandham means when you see them, they are together. We are not sure 24 hours whether they are together, we are not sure. When you see them, so incidents, and 5 times this incidence repeats, you can reach in a conclusion that there is sambandham. And then the curiosity increases. That when X and Y curiosity increases, that 24 hours you are under surveillance, camera. Okay, then you see that there is vyapti. Okay, wherever X is there, Y also is there. Wherever X is not there, Y is not there. One is called Anvaya Vyapti and the other one is Vedreka Vyapti. Etra etra dhumaha tatra etra vanya. Etra vanyir nasti, tatra dhumo api nasti. So Anvaya Vyapti and Vedreka Vyapti. Okay, that is. Now comes, so they are correlating, but is there a causality there? What is the difference between correlation and causality? X and Y are together 24 hours, that is correlation. Okay, X is the cause for. I will tell an example. 2 people are there. They are going every day they are starting from their home in the morning together and going by same bus and getting down at the same stop. Everything happens, there is vyapti. Okay. What is the reason there? So whether it is going X is there, whether that is a cause for Y, when we observe that they are working in the same office. It is not X is the cause for Y, X and Y are having another cause. They are not having causative relationship. There is a common cause because they are working in the same office, so they are coming together, and going everywhere there. But the X is not the cause for Y. So whether X is cause for Y is different from whether X is correlated with Y. Okay. So that is called a Karya Karana Bandham. So starting from incidental, that is Yadricha, then comes Sambandham, then comes Vyapti, then comes last one, that is called a Karya Karana Bandham. And finally, whether X is equal to Y. X is equal to Y. What is that? Samavayam. X is almost equal to Y. Oh, that much that inherent relationship is there. That is called. So these are the grades of association which explained in our science and explained in modern research also. So you can do research to determine any of them. But you have to start from the first thing. You cannot directly go to causal relationship, Karya Karana Bandham. For that you have to come from beginning. There should be some incidents, there should be some sort of sambandham, there should be a Vyapti, and finally you can come that if Vyapti is there, you can go for causality. So whether this medicine is the cause for relieving that particular disease, or whether smoking and cancer can bring together. So this Sambandha can be identified by a cross-sectional study. Two things are there together. A cross-sectional study can prove what is called a Sambandham, but for causality you have to go forward and backward. That is called a cohort study, case control study, whatever it may be. Okay. Yes.
So, what is the difference between now Samavaya and Vyapti? Because in Vyapti both exist together.
No, in Vyapti what happens is, for example, dosa and that rice powder, rice arimav. It is in Karyakarana Bandham and it is Samavayam also. For example, if you are making a furniture with wood, okay, furniture is equal to wood. Furniture is not in Vyapti with wood. Vyapti is there. Vyapti is there. Not in Samavayam, Vyapti is already there. But Vyapti alone means there are two things happening. One, X is different from Y. Two people are together, X is not equal to Y. X is not made of Y. X is not made of Y. When you compare this one, that is when you make idli with rice flour, that batter, rice batter is there. So there you can see means idli is made by rice batter. Okay, so there rice batter is nothing different from idli. Means idli is nothing different from, it is made of what is called so that relationship is the strongest relationship. But others, the things are different. X is different from Y. One person is having Vyapti with another person. Agni is not equal to Dhuma. Okay, so there you can identify things in different forms. Things are different, but here things are together.
Can we say the exhibition is different? So, like no. As an example, you give Agni and Dhuma. So Agni and Dhuma.
Dhuma is another thing.
Yeah. So
Dhuma you can have Dhuma without Agni without Dhuma. If it is in a Samavaya Bandha, wherever Agni is there, Dhuma is a form of Agni. Dhuma will be a form of Agni. But here, there can be situations where Agni is there and Dhuma is not there. That means Dhuma is not form of, Agni is not a form of Dhuma. It is, Samavaya is, in research I don't know how to translate Samavaya. But Samavaya is the ultimate relationship where X is not different from Y. But all other situations, X is, smoking causes cancer. X is different from Y. Smoking is different from cancer. Okay. Dosha and Roga. Samavaya is there. Dosha itself is Roga. Dosha is not one among many causes of Roga. Okay. So when Vidahinnam Viruddham cha leads to Vadariktam, there is a causality. Vidahinnam is different, Vadaraktam is different. But Vidahinnam causes what is called a Vadaraktam. Okay, dosha is not something like that. Dosha itself is becoming Roga. Okay, so that Bandha is Samavayam. It needs another causes also, not going to other. So in the causality there are many issues like what type of causality is there. Agreed. Okay.
Are these stages?
Definitely. I think without incidents you cannot reach in what is called Sambandha. Sambandha progress to what is called Vyapti. Vyapti progress. Without Vyapti you cannot have a Karyakarana Bandha. And without all these things you cannot have a Samavaya. So it is a staging of different associations. Same thing. Okay, yadricha, then sambandha, bhava and samavaya. So these are the stages of samavaya. I am not clear about what will be its implication in research, but other things are very, very readily available in research. Okay, I will give it to you. Slides will be given. So you no need to take photos. So you can see chances there. Yadrichaya samapanna uttari niyatavisham bhishagmani. Yadricha is there. Rogam avijnaya karmanya arapate bhishagapya aushadham avijnana aushadha vidhanasnyaha tasya siddhir yadrichaya. So yadricha siddhi is there. Okay. In Malayalam it is called chakka venappam moyilittu. Jackfruit is there. In falling down jackfruit, one rabbit was there. It fell on that rabbit and rabbit died. Once it happened, that is called yadricha. Okay. Then comes Siddhanta. Siddhanta, you can see many things. Siddhanta nama parikshakaihi. Parikshakaihi means it is not parikshagena. It is parikshakaihi. Very, very important. It should be multiple researchers, or you can say it as multicentric. Multicentric. Multiple researchers are involved. Bahuvidham. Multiple observations means multiple trials, multiple designs. For example, when drug research is there, you will be starting from in vitro. Then you will be, same thing will be repeated in vivo. Then coming to small group, that is efficacy study. Then comes to effectiveness study, that is large group clinical settings. Finally, efficiency study is there. Different things are there. Same thing is repeated, bahuvidham. Okay, bahuvidham. Hedubhischa sadhayitva. Heduna sadhayitva. It is not heduna sadhayitva, it is hedubhischa sadhayitva. Multiple evidence should be there. Okay. So all the things are multiple in research. So that is why Siddhanta is Siddhanta. What is the simplest definition of Siddhanta? Word definition. How can you split that word Siddhanta? Ande Siddham. Ande Siddham Siddhantam. What is the, of what? Ande, of what? That is the process. That is the research going on. At the end you will be getting Siddham. Finally you will be reaching into a particular thing. That is Ante Siddham. Buddhi Pasyati Abha. Here comes Buddhi Pasyati Abhavan Hedubhischa Bahukarana Yogajam. Bahukarana Yogajam. And it can be Trikala. Trikala is in Anumana also, Trikala is there. So it can be prospective, that is coming forward, and retrospective, that is going back, and simultaneous. So three research designs are there. Which are they? Prospective, retrospective, cross-section. Prospective means cohort study. Retrospective means case control study. And the other one is cross-section, that is samanyato drishtam. Okay, purvavat, sheshavat and samanyato drishtam. Reasoning can be, as we have already explained, reasoning can be of two types: inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is putting things together to formulate a hypothesis. You gave a drug to a patient, second patient, third patient, fourth patient, you will be formulating that this drug is effective. That is called a generation of hypothesis. But after generating the hypothesis, you have to test the hypothesis. That is called testing of hypothesis. For that, you have to give medicine to one group and you have to get another group where the medicines are not given, you consider both the Vyaptis, Anvaya Vyapti in study group and Vyatireka Vyapti in control group. Agreed. Anvaya Vyapti means X is there, Y is there. Okay. Medicine is given, effect is there. In the control group, you didn't give medicine, so effect is not there. That is what you want to prove. Okay. So you are in research, in comparative trials, you are going to prove Anvaya Vyapti is there in study group and Vyatireka Vyapti is there in control group. Is it heavy? In control group. Okay. Then I will ask another question. What is that Paksha called then? Paksha is there. Paksha means, in the Anumana, Paksha means where do you suspect something? Or in our case, where are you doing the study? That is called a study sample. Paksha is study sample. Okay, you are doing study in that, this one, study sample Paksha. So what is your intention to do? You want to prove that Anvaya Vyapti is there. So you want to prove that Paksha actually is a Sapaksha. So study group is Sapaksha and control group is Vipaksha. So our definition of research, experimental research or interventional research is, clinical trial is, our definition is, clinical trial is a trial where you are proving Paksha as, Paksha means study group as Sapaksha and control group as Vipaksha. So that is our definition, Anumana definition of research, clinical research. Agreed? Okay. So, reduction, you can see one more thing. Previous one. Yes. Next. Here you can see inductive reasoning with Sankhya. We have already explained that. Deductive reasoning with the Vaisheshika protocol, because they want to differentiate things. The other one, all the different things are putting together. Okay. So finally reaching into a hypothesis that everything is composed of three guna. Okay. But other side, they start from satta, everything is there, but then they go to differentiate them. So hypothesis testing, starting from the general principle and going to the Vishesha. So Samanya to Vishesha. There it is Vishesha to Samanya. Finally reaching in Samanya. Okay. Next. So almost we explained that causality can be three directions, from Karana to Karya. Karanat Karyam Anumiyate. Karyat Karanam Anumiyate. And Samanya Drushtam is Karya Karana Bhinna Lingakam, or which they are related in at the particular point of time, that is cross sectional. Okay, next. Correlation Vyapti. It's already explained. Correlation Vyapti. Anvaya Vyapti, positive correlation, Vyatireka Vyapti, negative correlation. Then pure positive, pure negative and Kevala Veda. That is Lingam. What is the difference between Hetu and Lingam? Hetu and Lingam. Evidence. Lingam is? Both are same, no? Both are same.
One is the cause and one is multiple observations. One is the cause that is causing.
Coming to the point. There can be many lingas and you can take one among them as Hetu. Hetu is the operative linga. what linga you use in a, for example, if you want to diagnose a particular disease, you can go for lab test, you can go for clinical symptoms, you can go for just observing some Vaidyas were there who will test Nadi and predict the disease. I don't know whether it is right or not, but that thing is there. So everything is linga. Nadi Pariksha is linga, lab report is linga. At that particular situation, which is taken by you to prove this one, that is called a hetu. So all the lingas are not hetu, but all the hetus are lingas. In my understanding, that is the difference between lingam and hetu. Okay, so linga can be of three types. According to the Vyapti, there can be three types like Kevala Anvayi. Kevala Anvayi. Kevala Anvayi means Anvaya Vyapti only is valid. Anvaya Vyapti only is valid. Kevala Vediregi means Vedireka Vyapti only is valid. I will tell an example. A patient comes to you, it is not in research, a patient comes to you and with an ESR report. Okay, so you want to diagnose it as arthritis. What type of linga will be that? ESR with arthritis.
Not always.
Not always. Not always. Not always. ESR, if it is ESR raised, you cannot directly go to what is called, it is arthritis. There can be many other reasons. That is why it is called Hetwabhasam. ESR taking to this, that considers Hetwabhasam, that is Sadharana Hetwabhasam. Sadhya Bhava Vritti, Sadharana Hetwabhasam. I will explain it later. Okay, but here you can do one thing. If ESR is normal, arthritis is not there. ESR not negative, arthritis negative. What is that? Kevala Vediregi. Anvaya cannot be done. ESR raised, you cannot diagnose it as arthritis, but if ESR is not there, you can diagnose it as no arthritis. Because in arthritis, definitely there will be ESR raised. Another example, a patient comes to you with X-ray and his complaint is back pain. So you want to diagnose IVDP. The problem is X-ray in early stages of IVDP, X-ray will not be visible. Okay. But if X-ray findings are positive, IVDP is definitely there. But if X-ray is not evidential, you cannot rule out what is called IVDP. So Vedireka Vyapti cannot be justified, but Anvaya Vyapti can be justified. That is called the Kevala Anvayi. In the case of IVDP, MRI is there. If MRI is positive, IVDP is there, Anvaya Vyapti. If MRI is negative, IVDP is not there, Vedireka Vyapti. So that is called Anvaya Vedireki. Anvaya Vedireki is the perfect diagnostic measure. Or you can call it as a confirmatory test. Confirmatory test means if it is positive, that disease is there. If it is negative, disease is not there. So that is confirmatory test. Okay, this is applicable in research also. When you want to develop a tool, that should be Anvaya Vedireki. So whatever the test you are doing, statistical analysis you are doing, like sensitivity, specificity, many things are there. That is to prove that this instrument is Anvaya Vedireki. Anvaya means sensitivity, Vedireka means specificity. We are not going to that details. Is that clear? Sensitivity means true positivity. Positivity is called sensitivity. And true negativity is called, it is too heavy. It is too heavy, I am not going into. So that also you can do. So That is, you just think of it, because now there is no time to think. So whatever is directly mentioned, you can just go and see what is true positivity, that is called sensitivity, and true negativity. Vyatireka is true negativity, and Anvaya is true positivity. So sensitivity is almost equal to Anvaya Vyapti, and specificity is with Vyatireka Vyapti. So an instrument should be both sensitive and specific. That means it should be Anvaya Vyatireki. So that is the only idea, just to go through, when you get time, just to go through them and you can compare it. Yes?
Anvaya Vidyapeetha is in modern terminology when we're doing type of researches. So it completely depends upon the new instrument that are coming in the market, or depends upon the techniques. In Ayurveda, we are completely depends on the linga and the hetu and the lakshana.
Yes, yes.
This lakshana not always needed as instruments.
Yes. It is very, very important point. When you, for example, I said that point is very valid.
So the next time when we develop new techniques, the Anvaya Vyatireka may change. Sometimes it is Anvaya, sometimes it is Vyatireka, sometimes it is both.
Yes.
But sometimes may be possible because of some instrument there is only Anvaya. Because of some instrument there is only Vyatireka.
Yes, yes.
But later on, if our science develops much more, there may be possible there are both Anvaya and Vyatireka, and that is very visible thing. But in Ayurveda diagnosis, we can, with the Lakshana only, we move for the classic rather than for instruments.
That point is very important, because we are speaking about developing instruments satisfying these things, but in practice we are not at all using all these things. It is only for research. For diagnosing a case, you are having your own wisdom. Okay, for example, some people diagnose a case with 2 or 3 symptoms only, but that is not valid in research. This is a very subjective thing. This is a very subjective thing. You can diagnose, you can, so that is the difference between clinical scenario and research scenario. Research scenario, it should be repeated by others also. It should be convinced to others also. That is why you are developing new tools. For example, there is take the Amavata. Okay, Amavata means Angamarda, Arujis, Trishna, Alasing, Gauravan, Jwara, Apaka, Sunada, Anganam, Amavata selection, that is selection. So whether you are going to examine all these symptoms in patients, probably no. When you get 2 or 3 symptoms together, you will be. So how can you classify the symptoms into major and minor criteria? Okay, so which is major and which is minor? These type of things you want to do, you have to go for sensitivity and specificity. Clinically, it is not valid. Means, if you want to do research on Amavada, there should be a consensus among people that this is a tool to assess Amavada. Okay. So in clinic, it is not needed, sir. You need not worry about much things, because you have your own logic there. But when you do research, you should have a particular instrument there. So we will take 3 more minutes, sir. I will conclude it then. No, I will conclude, sir. Sir is so hope that is clear. Sample. What is the name of sample in Anumanam? Where you are conducting the study? Paksham. Then what is reference sample? 2 types of reference sample. One is Sapaksham and Vipaksham. Agreed. Okay. Ideal evidence should be present in Paksha. Agreed? Pakshe Sattvam. Ideal evidence should be present in Sapaksha. Sapakshe Sattvam. It should not be present in Vipaksha. It should not have any contradictory evidence. One evidence, when you put one evidence, there should not be another evidence to counter it. Asat Pratipakshatvam. It should not be self-contradictory. Aviruddhatvam. And it should not be challenged by another study. Abadhidatvam. What is the difference between Asat Pratipakshatvam and Abadhidatvam? Asat Pratipaksha, Sat Pratipaksha means in the same study there are contrary evidence. But Badhita means there are different studies where this you are finding is challenged. Another study. Sometimes animal study positive result is there and clinical study negative result is there. That is called a Badhita. Okay. So every time when study fails, the accused will be Hetu. In the classroom, in any problem happening in the classroom, maybe accused will be only one person will be there, who is very notorious, and everything falls upon him. Even though he, so that is why, that is because Hetu is the most vital part of research. Okay. So we will discuss research reporting we have already completed. That is Pratijna Hetu Udaharana Upanaya Nigamanam. And now come to research fallacies. I think Sir is taking Hetubhasam. Sir is, will be taking a class on that. I will just explain the research implications in the next session. Now it is already. So I will start with the Hetubhasa. Just 5 minutes I will tell the research implications of Hetubhasa. Then coming to Charaga's positions, I need a half an hour more. I